Hello everyone, I am Horror Horizon and I am here to help you today. I know many of you use this video to fall asleep, so before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know in the comments, where are you from and what time are you watching right now? Get comfortable, relax, and let's dive into a story that might just keep you awake tonight. If you have any horror story that has happened to you, please email us. Now imagine this. It's a stormy night. The house is quiet, except for the creak of old floorboards and the distant howl of the wind. You're alone, babysitting two sleeping children. Then the phone rings. A voice, cold and raspy, asks you one question. Have you checked the children? You laugh it off. Just a prank, right? But the calls keep coming, each one more menacing than the last. And when the police trace the calls, they tell you something that turns your blood to ice. The calls are coming from inside the house. The man isn't outside. He's upstairs with the children. It was a cold, rainy Friday night when 17-year-old Emily agreed to babysit the Thompson kids. The Thompsons lived in a large old house on the edge of town, surrounded by dense woods. Emily had babysat for them before, and while the house always gave her an uneasy feeling, the pay was good, and the kids, 8-year-old Lily and 5-year-old Max, were sweet and well-behaved. The parents left around 7 p.m., reminding Emily to lock the doors and not to let anyone in. We'll be back by midnight, Mrs. Thompson said, handing her a list of emergency numbers. Emily nodded, smiling reassuringly, though the house's creaking floors and shadowy corners already had her on edge. By 9 p.m., the kids were tucked into bed and Emily settled on the couch in the living room with a bowl of popcorn and the TV remote. The rain tapped steadily against the windows and the wind howled through the trees. She tried to focus on the movie, but the house felt unnervingly quiet, save for the occasional groan of the old pipes. Then, the phone rang. Emily jumped, startled by the shrill sound. She hesitated before picking up the cordless phone from the coffee table. "Hello?" she answered cautiously. There was a pause, and then a low, raspy voice spoke. "Have you checked the children?" Emily frowned. "Who is this?" The voice ignored her question. "Have you checked the children?" It repeated, slower this time, almost mocking. Emily's heart began to race. Is this some kind of joke? Who is this? The line went dead. She stared at the phone, her hands trembling. It had to be a prank, she told herself. Maybe one of her friends knew she was babysitting and decided to scare her. She set the phone down and tried to shake off the unease, but the voice lingered in her mind, cold, menacing, and disturbingly calm. The phone rang again at 9:30 p.m. Emily hesitated but answered, her voice shaky. "Hello?" The same voice. "Have you checked the children?" "Stop calling!" Emily snapped, her fear turning to anger. "Who is this?" "What do you want?" The voice didn't respond. Instead, there was a soft, eerie chuckle before the line went dead again. Emily's stomach churned. She glanced toward the staircase where the kids' rooms were. The house felt darker now, the shadows deeper. She told herself the kids were fine. She had just checked on them an hour ago. But the calls were getting to her. At 10 p.m., the phone rang a third time. Emily's hands were clammy as she picked it up. "Hello?" she whispered. "Have you checked the children?" The voice demanded, louder this time, almost frantic. Emily slammed the phone down, her breath coming in short gasps. She couldn't ignore it anymore. She grabbed a flashlight and hurried up the stairs, her footsteps echoing in the empty house. She peeked into Lily's room first. The little girl was fast asleep. Her stuffed bunny clutched tightly in her arms. Max was also sound asleep in his room, his blankets tangled around him. Relieved, Emily returned to the living room. The kids were fine. It was just a prank. She tried to convince herself of that, but the voice on the phone haunted her thoughts. At 10:30 p.m., the phone rang again. Emily stared at it, her heart pounding. She didn't want to answer, but she couldn't ignore it. "Hello?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Have you checked the children?" The voice hissed, more aggressive now. "You need to check the children." Emily's fear turned to panic. "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" The voice didn't answer. Instead, there was a long, unsettling silence before the line went dead. That was it. Emily couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed her phone and dialed the police. "Someone keeps calling the house," she stammered when the dispatcher answered. "They're asking if I've checked the children. I think it's a prank, but I'm scared." The dispatcher assured her they would trace the call and send an officer to check on her. Emily hung up, feeling slightly better. She locked all the doors and windows, clutching the flashlight like a weapon. The phone rang again at 11 p.m. Emily's hand shook as she answered. "Hello. Have you checked the children?" The voice growled, louder and more distorted than before. Emily's voice broke. "The police are coming. Leave me alone." There was a pause, and then the voice whispered, "I'm already in sight." The line went dead. Emily froze, her blood turning to ice. She heard a faint creak from upstairs, a floorboard shifting under someone's weight. Her heart raced as she stared at the staircase, her mind screaming at her to run, but her legs refused to move. Then she heard it, a soft, rhythmic thud coming from the kids' rooms. It sounded like footsteps. The flashlight slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911 again. "He's in the house," she screamed. "He's upstairs with the kids." The dispatcher tried to calm her, but Emily wasn't listening. She heard another creak, closer this time. She grabbed the fireplace poker and backed toward the front door, her eyes glued to the staircase. The aftermath, the police arrived minutes later, their sirens piercing the night. They burst into the house, guns drawn, and found Emily huddled by the door, sobbing and clutching the poker. The officers searched the house and found the children unharmed but terrified. In the attic, they discovered a man hiding among the boxes, a drifter who had been living in the house for weeks, watching the family and waiting for the right moment to strike. The man was arrested, and the Thompsons moved out shortly after. Emily never babysat again. To this day, she can't shake the memory of that voice on the phone or the sound of footsteps creeping closer in the dark. And every time she hears a phone ring, she feels a chill run down her spine, as if the man's voice is still whispering in her ear. "Have you checked the children?" If you have any horror story that has happened to you, please email us.